Don't worry about the scary wave on the thumbnail there. It's just a cloud. What we're going to be talking about is a lot more serious. Now, a lot of you out there probably think of natural disasters from movies. And why not? Because that's usually where you see them. But we have bad news for you. With the planet getting hotter and hotter, real people are sadly going to face more natural disasters. Why is that? Because the worse we treat the planet, the louder she's going to roar when the brown stuff hits the fan. Join us to find out more as we show you 5 natural disasters that could happen around the world soon. Wildfires. The wildfires raging through Siberia's forests this year have received global attention. Millions of hectares have been consumed in the blaze. And even more worrying, the epic fires have consequences for the whole planet. How? Through increased CO2 emissions and melting ice caps. The fire originally started through a combination of dry thunderstorms and powerful winds spreading the embers and flames. Resulting pollution has now reached the Arctic, where soot settles on the ice. This is really bad as it stops the ice reflecting and keeps in heat. Then the caps start melting. Experts believe this will add significantly to global warming. There is a backlog of released CO2 in our atmosphere that'll take decades to clear anyway. So increased emissions spell great danger. The American government's refusal to acknowledge climate change is also highly concerning to scientists. Over in the US last year, California had its own wildfires, with over 1,000 sparked in July. And that was in 1 week alone. What used to be the healthy natural process of the super boom, where a wet winter season encouraged plant growth, is now a disaster waiting to happen. These new plants dry out and become kindling for the all-encompassing blaze, whereas a limited fire season was factored into life out there. This season has now expanded to cover longer and longer periods. And now, strangely, it all leads to flooding because more rain falls instead of snow. Authorities have to release water from reservoirs to cope with flood risks, which in turn reduces water supplies for the population. Dry temperatures, unpredictable weather, and lack of water and indeed organization means we're likely to see some wildfires as time goes on. Supervolcano eruption. A volcano is already pretty devastating, so what exactly is a supervolcano? Put simply, it's when rising magma can't get through the Earth's crust. Immense pressure builds until a major eruption happens measuring magnitude 8, otherwise known as the highest value possible for a volcano. So a supervolcano is arguably the ultimate case of delayed gratification for nature. On a serious note, the consequences of a supervolcano are catastrophic and have been studied through history. Luckily, they only seem to be a rare event, but one unfortunate location in the Bay of Naples, Italy could be seeing their supervolcano erupt soon. Campi Flegrei translates somewhat worryingly as burning fields. Nevertheless, approximately 500,000 residents call the area home. They live on top of an ancient network of underground chambers. The local caldera or crater stretches for 7 miles, so should Campi Flegrei erupt, the result could be devastating. Its crowning glory was the Campagnani Nimbrite event, which thankfully happened nearly 40,000 years ago. This disaster is believed to have actually wrecked the continent, spreading layers of ash over an amazing distance of 1,200 miles, 2,000 kilometers, and releasing sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. The toxic ash lay on the ground at a depth of several centimeters, making life impossible to grow. Meanwhile, the sulfur dioxide hung around in the air and blocked the sun's rays from reaching the Earth, causing something referred to as a volcanic winter. Even relatively smaller eruptions can alter the area's geography. There's no such thing as a minor eruption when it comes to supervolcanoes. The threat level for Campi Flegrei was raised in 2016, with people no doubt being vigilant for a potential calamity. Mega tsunami. The prospect of a mega tsunami is a terrifying one. Tsunamis are typically quite slow to begin with, starting out at sea as a result of seismic activity. The waves are shallow at first and build to enormous sizes before reaching land and causing untold devastation. A mega tsunami happens faster and more dramatically when large amounts of material suddenly collapse into the water, as with a landslide. And the idyllic location of Hawaii is more susceptible than most to experiencing these immense natural disasters. That's due to it being a volcano-heavy part of the world. The main island of Hawaii itself is a volcano, and one that's amongst the planet's largest. But there are threats everywhere, A chunk of rock once fell from the island of Oahu that was reportedly the size of Manhattan. Landslide-based megatsunamis are thought to threaten Hawaii every 100,000 years. They are, of course, linked to unstable periods in the Earth's environment. With climate change believed to be on the rise, this will take its toll on the volcanic area. Rising sea levels can disrupt the foundations of volcanoes, and the extra rain breaks down volcanic slopes, making a landslide more likely. A megatsunami like this could carry a wave in excess of 980 feet, 300 meters, high toward the shores of Hawaii. The only good news is that surrounding coastlines wouldn't be affected as a megatsunami loses its power in open water. It's different with tsunamis that come from earthquakes, which really go the distance. Another factor that can cause megatsunamis is a meteor strike. A more unlikely problem to arise, but certainly one that makes you think. These disasters could come from anywhere, even out of the blue. Big one. The San Andreas Fault really is the big one of natural catastrophes, for California at least. First identified in 1895, the fault lies between the Pacific and North American plates. These plates are slipping in different directions, and the fault line runs for a distance of 745 miles, 1,200 kilometers, over 3 sections. A scientific assessment concluded that there was a 7% risk of the big one taking place, at a magnitude of 8 or higher, within the next 30 years. A big disaster needs a big solution, and they don't come much bigger than Dwayne Johnson. In 2015, he added the fault to his list of movie adversaries when he took the lead in multi-million-dollar disaster flick San Andreas. According to experts, his overblown presentation may have actually harmed preparations for an impending quake. How so? Because experts think it gives a false impression of what could happen, saying such a catastrophe is predicted relatively easily and that preparations can be swiftly made. But there's no easy method of preparing for a major event such as the San Andreas Fault giving away. When it does finally crack, the effect could last for years, and they won't be the ones people might expect. For example, the film presents a megatsunami. Thankfully, this wouldn't happen due to the fault lying inland, where disruption would be nowhere near as great. However, a staggering 2,000 people are estimated to lose their lives. The fallout from San Andreas disaster would go beyond what happened to land and cover economic and psychological factors. Fire damage would be exacerbated by the conditions, with the area falling prey to more wildfires. Water and power would be seriously affected, leading to a mass exodus from one of the planet's most famous spots. The other idea the San Andreas movie seems to promote is that these things are so epic there's nothing we can do about them anyway. Experts beg to differ and are urging authorities to reinforce buildings that are in most danger of collapsing, together with other measures. The message is to treat every day as if it were the day of the quake. It doesn't get more direct and serious than that. Solar storm. Some natural disasters come from outside our world, though we definitely feel the effects on it. Solar storms are caused by disruption on the surface of the sun. Despite being insanely hot and associated with dry conditions, the sun itself is actually made up of liquid, namely hydrogen. The hydrogen is charged with electricity. As you can imagine, an electric soup that's constantly in motion generates a colossal amount of energy. Solar storms are one outlet for the energy, releasing it into space where it can hit other planets like a cosmic brick. The solar storm's ripple effect carries dangerous consequences. Why are they dangerous when the source is so far away? Because solar storms interfere with the Earth's magnetic field. If that is interfered with, then we could be facing problems with our technology. Take what happened in Vietnam 1972. Without warning, sea mines began exploding, and it was all down to the disruption from a solar storm. How were the bombs triggered? This was through electric particles being shot down toward the Earth after the storm passed. The famous spectacle of the Northern Lights is certainly very beautiful, but what you are watching is the collision of electrified particles in our upper atmosphere. Factor in the amount of tech that we have, such as satellites that are located way up high, and you can see the problem. We rely on intricate technologies everywhere, and these only operate thanks to a stable magnetic field without any distortion. So we know what you're probably thinking. When is the next big solar storm due? And how can we prepare for it? Experts speculate these major events, categorized under the title space weather, occur every 100 years or so. Weather centers are confident they can give 6 hours notice of an impending storm, which is better than nothing. It's certainly a lifeline economically, with those precious hours saving the UK a reported £13 billion. Even though progress is being made regarding prediction, the solar storm is still a serious threat and something to worry about. Disasters with cosmic origins are now considered in the same breath of a disease outbreak or floods. People are always watching the skies, but now it seems they'll have to watch extra hard. Whether coming from space, under the ground, or from places you've never thought of before, natural disasters prove one important thing: that no matter how far humanity advances, it's never far from forces beyond its control. The Earth is the place we call home, yet sometimes it flexes its muscles to remind us just how powerful it is. If you liked the video, then click the subscribe button and turn on notifications, and you'll be the first to know when we release a new video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.